It's really good.
Yeah,
Mark,
Roxy.
let's take them over. Let's
You know what?
I think we can.
Let's talk Star Wars. I'm ready.
throw them.
Cody, are you ready?
It's so weird. My mic stopped working, guys. I can't take part in this conversation.
Wow,
We
crazy.
understand. I understand.
You want to know
two.
what's interesting, actually? I know exactly how the people in this room feel about it, but I have not spoken to Cody Hall at all. Cody, I know that you said your mic broke, but if it does fix itself, I do want to talk Rise of Skywalker with you because right now, guys, non-spoiler, we all
Non-spoilers.
saw it. All four of us in this room and Cody in the booth, our booth boy, did see Rise of Skywalker. We are going to do a non-spoiler review. Like it or not, and we have both sides here.
Sure
we
do.
are doing it.
Both sides, definitely.
So, Cody, I do want to start with you because I don't know.
God.
I don't know how.
Why are you throwing me to the wolves like this?
I'm not throwing you to the wolves, but I really have no idea how you don't wear your emotions on your sleeve the way the rest of us apparently do.
Right.
How did you feel about the movie?
All right. It wasn't for me. I'm gonna put it that way, guys.
Okay.
I wasn't a huge fan.
Okay.
Most of
fair.
my problems with it are spoiler specific.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna get into it too much. Just know it's probably my least favorite of the 3 that they've done.
Is it your least favorite of the 9 or your least favorite of the 3?
No. This is still better than most of the prequels. But it's my least favorite of the new ones.
Okay. All right. So maybe we can try to stagger this. I'll go to Mark Riley next.
No, thank
Okay.
God.
Mark,
Yeah.
how did you feel?
Let me tell you something about sitting in that theater.
Tell us.
You look so
Tell
happy.
us, Mark.
I was a happy guy. This was me as a kid. It hit me in all the Star Wars feels. I cried, I laughed, I cheered, and that's what I'll say. If you grew up loving Star Wars like I did, that it's so a part of you growing up. I saw what they were trying to do. Now I know. I'm looking at you. I'm looking at you. I hear you, Cody. I acknowledge. I acknowledge. I understand. Because I can step outside of my body, my Star Wars loving body, and go, yeah, okay, there are some things that I understand. Writing, producing, all the development, all the problems, the discourse across the fandom, Lucasfilm, all these things. But if you like Star Wars, I think you're going to love this movie.
Okay. Keeping staggering it. Coit, thoughts on Star Wars The Rise of Skywalker?
Much like Mark, I can step out of my body and I can go, I'm so excited for Star Wars fans that have been lifelong fans. I'm so excited for people that love this franchise, and it will please a lot of people, and those people aren't wrong. They're just not me. I did not like this movie. I thought it was, how do I non-spoil? Color by numbers in a way that offended me. I thought it was...
offended you?
Wow.
Yeah, because I'm worried about the future of genre content. Like, I've been worried about the future of genre content for a long time, and I feel like this is the slippery slope to...
But being worried about the future offends you?
Yeah, because my life is this world. Like, my life is genre content, and someone went through Reddit and grabbed all the things they wanted to see in a movie and wrote a script about it. Like, that's embarrassing. Like, I don't want to see a movie that a bunch of people that want things to be lean and linear wrote. I want to be challenged. I love what Rian Johnson says and does, and I
You love The Last Jedi.
Yeah, this is my number 6 of 9, this one, and I would say Last Jedi is my number 2 or 3, and that is the end of my Twitter. Goodbye. But I think that
You're sitting with 2 diehard Last Jedi people also.
Love
so.
The Last Jedi.
Empire Last Jedi, or maybe Empire New Hope Last Jedi, but either way, that's the alternation right there. And so to me, what this did was undermine a lot of things I love about Star Wars, and that's the offensive, by doing something that feels so... It betrays what I consider Star Wars to represent.
Okay.
Without spoilers, it does something very specific that I think Star Wars represents, and it goes like, that's not right, and lightsabers my legs out from under me.
So keeping the checkerboard going, I'll hit myself next. I am obsessed with this movie and having a really hard time understanding how people are not. I haven't gotten to where you are yet, Mark, where I'm able to step outside and figure it out because I thought it was so beautiful. I thought it was so heartwarming and stood for exactly what Star Wars stands for and did not take massive risks in a way that Rian Johnson did, and I really appreciated, but did tie together a saga that has meant so much to so many people in a way that I thought was really respectful, really charismatic, and cool. Honestly, I thought that a lot of the movie while I was watching it just made me. I cried a few times, and I also thought it was funny, in a way that I appreciated. Not funny in a Marvel copycat, which I've seen online people saying kind of way. I was not that big of a fan of Rey in Episode 7. I liked her a little more in 8, and after Episode 9, to me, she's one of the best Star Wars characters that there is, and the way that they were able to build that, I think is incredible. I think that she's just such a badass character. I keep tracing the word "no" on my page because I don't want to give any spoilers. So no,
I was wondering what that was.
no.
Also, you started like during my review, and I was like,
She taking notes in my opinion?
No,
was like,
I literally, because I am so scared.
Yeah,
because there are things to spoil about this
Right,
movie. I am
right.
so scared of doing it
I
that
agree.
I literally just keep writing no. So if you're wondering, that's what I'm doing.
yeah.
Or I'm hexing you and I'm making your hand disagree with everything you're saying.
I love Kylo. I just think that he is such a brilliant character, and I think that this movie did exactly what I needed it to do. It didn't do all the things that I thought it would do, but it did what I needed it to do and won. So that's how I felt. Darina, let's keep the checkerboard going, baby.
I'm with Cody. Do I have to?
Yeah, I know.
I have to. I gotta play the game.
Yeah, you're in
You
the
don't
room?
you don't have to do anything you don't want to do, except you have to say something.
Okay. Something. There. I said it. I hate this movie. I'm sorry. I'm not sorry. I also don't hate this movie. I don't. It hasn't ruined anything for me. But
Are you offended?
But no. But because I've already not really liked the new stuff in general, right? So I went into this movie similar like I went to Last Jedi and Force Awakens and any other new Star Wars content we got into, that I'm just going to have fun and try to, enjoy any of the nostalgia stuff that I felt as a kid, which some of it's worked, some of it hasn't. This movie should have been called Star Wars: The Rise of Nostalgia, Star Wars: The Nostalgia of Skywalker, Star Wars: The Rise of Fan Service. I've never seen so much fan service in a movie ever in my life before. Like, it was insane to the point where not just the same plot points, paint by numbers that Coit was talking about. If you've seen every other Star Wars movie, you know what's going to happen. Like, I don't think that's a spoiler, but that's what I mean by paint by numbers. Not only did they use the exact same plot lines in previous Star Wars movies to wrap this up, but additionally, they used the same scenes. Like, I was blown away. Could not believe what I was seeing. Like,
So you didn't think like it was paying homage. You thought it was copying.
Completely. I mean, I'm like you, Roxy, where I'm scared to like talk about it because I'm like, shit. I was like, I can't say any words about planets and people because I'm gonna spoil it. On top of that, the dialogue and screenplay were so dull. Like, there was no lines in this movie that you can quote.
Oh my God.
Oh God.
No lines.
Wow, I feel
whatsoever.
really differently.
Yeah, I
No,
did
like
too.
everything was
I did
so
too.
dull to me, other than generic like pandering. This is this movie has heart, guys. By the way, the little robot that's not a spoiler that you guys have seen. Super cute robot. Totally, they even made that robot annoying. I don't understand.
Oh wow, dude.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
loved
I'm not
Me
as
too.
strong in
Yeah.
the hate category. I felt like it was an enjoyable experience, but I feel like I didn't want an enjoyable experience. I wanted a film. Like, it's the 9th movie
But
in a
it
saga.
wasn't a movie.
That's what I'm saying. Is
Yeah.
like I had.
Did you say it was cinema?
I'm glad to have seen it. Like, I wrote on my Instagram, like, Star Wars fans are gonna have fun. I love people that had fun. I want it to be seen. I just don't want it to be the marker of success, because that's what I feel like will lead to the dark side, and the dark side being fan service. I want movies to challenge me. I want movies to grow a world, not subside it. I want movies to make progress, not be like, well, this is comfortable. It felt comfortable, and I hate comfort.
It was the safest Star Wars movie I've ever seen in my life.
Art isn't comfortable.
I thought
There's nothing that they did that was different to me. Like, I completely agree with Coy. And I mean, I think it was our friend Scott Wampler at Birth Movies Death that tweeted, where is it? Rise of Skywalker feels like what would happen if instead of writing an actual screenplay for a Star Wars movie, you went on Reddit and found a list of Episode 9 demands written by an unhinged lunatic and then just shot that instead.
I feel like it
completely
felt
agree.
like
Say much better
somebody.
phrasing,
I
yes.
feel like it felt like somebody was paying attention to the fans and hearing what they wanted and making sure that they delivered.
But I'm a
in
fan too.
I'm not saying you're not.
But so that's what I mean.
I'm
Yeah.
just giving my opinion.
No, I just mean in the sense that like you're saying like they're pandering to a certain subset of fans, right?
No, I'm just saying I think that how how they made this movie was they tried to hear people, they tried to listen, and then they tried to implement.
Right.
And that worked for me.
Right.
So I thought that what's interesting you're saying about the quotability is, to me, this is maybe one of the most quotable Star Wars movies.
Yeah.
There were so many sound bites. So I'm surprised to hear you say that, because that was part of what I thought was them working towards marketability. I mean, there were specific moments where you could tell that this movie was like, we need to make a figure, or we need to like have words on a shirt, so this is what's going right here.
It has all my favorite new characters.
So I'm
and that's
surprised.
very
to
cool.
hear
I
you-
agree with
I'm
that.
surprised to hear you say that's not quotable, because to me, it was so quotable.
I agree that they were completely making a movie in order to sell merchandise. Yes, I completely agree with that. But that doesn't mean that the
That's
lines.
not what I said.
But that I thought you said that
Shirts.
your shirts.
You said I agree they were completely making a movie to sell merchandise. I definitely did not say
Oh,
that.
I agree.
Shirts, the dialogue, she could see it
like the
appearing
quote,
on
the
a
quote
shirt.
in a shirt. What I'm saying is, I think that was the purpose. But the dialogue itself is one of the dullest dialogues I've seen in a Star Wars movie since
Wow,
the prequels.
see, yeah, I didn't get it. I laughed my ass off.
Yeah,
especially,
I did laugh,
and I
though.
don't think it's a spoiler to say. For me, one of my favorites was Poe. Poe had some lines.
I agree.
Some dialogue
I
that
totally
I just
agree.
went.
Can we,
man.
to keep it vague, but like they did some things with characters I love that felt really shoehorned. And they felt very like safe, and so I wanted a steak dinner, and I got Denny's delivery. Like
Right.
I wanted sustenance, and I just got a calorie thing. Like I'm alive, and I think a lot of the choices they made were the safer choice, and I think that was a kickback because of Last Jedi. This whole thing felt like it was
Yes.
just like, well, the pendulum swung that way, so we're gonna be over here now. Like this felt like Trump versus Obama. Like we had the bowl,
Totally.
Now we're gonna go the other way and appease these kind
What
of fans.
did you like about the movie?
I liked the humor. I liked the
So the jokes worked for you.
to a point. Some of them. I liked the set pieces. Like there were some very cool visuals, but I never felt any stakes in those visuals. So it was a lot of being like, oh, pretty. I liked the comfort. It felt like a warm blanket. I liked the comfortability. But that also was what I didn't like about it. So while I was in the experience, I was like, yay, and then I left, and I was like, oh, like it felt like. It felt so easy.
Dorina, did you like anything about it?
I agree. I did laugh a lot. I was next to the Wangers. I was next to Cody and Christian Rubalcaba, and I was actually laughing with them. Like I thought, it's not like that's what I meant that I didn't hate this movie. It just there's no reason for me to see it again. Like that's my thing. Like I didn't hate it, and I didn't love. Like I definitely didn't love it, but I had a lot of issues with it. I hated what they did with it. There was nothing new to me. There was no need for this movie. And it kind of erases like what was the point to me? Let me ask you a question
No
since you guys
spoilers.
liked it. What was the point to me? Like what was the point? Or do you guys think there's any point in this movie existing or this trilogy
totally,
existing?
totally.
Because
Yes,
I don't see
100%.
any difference between this and the original trilogy. I don't get what it's like. Any characters that we all kind of really like in this trilogy. The way that it ended, yes, it was like neatly wrapped in a bow for us,
I
but
think
there was
that-
no depth
to
to it.
answer
There
your
was
question-
nothing there for me.
To answer your question,
Right.
Character arcs. I think that the way that people developed shows how people can grow, shrink, change, be better, be worse, and that's something that I'm so fascinated on focusing on.
Right.
Also, I can't give the spoiler of what I feel like the true sentiment of the movie is,
Right.
but what I feel like is the message of the movie,
Right.
to me, is not the message of the original trilogy.
Yeah.
What I felt like the message of Star Wars was 100% undermined by this movie.
Correct.
Everything I believe in
Yes.
Star Wars is now gone.
Completely agree.
And
I don't-
that's what I mean by offended.
I don't get it. I don't
We'll
get
talk
that.
off air about
Yeah,
it.
yeah,
And-
yeah.
but do you guys think it's
Yeah, I don't
also?
get
I was wondering about this because you and Steph both loved it,
Yeah,
right?
Steph
And-
Sabra.
right? And then and Mark, you really enjoyed it as well.
I think you
And
loved
so-
it also, right?
Yeah,
I loved it, the experience. But
Right.
again, I know you're not with me on this. Like stepping on the outside, I'm sitting back going, yeah. It's like
Like
it's
you
the
don't
way
disagree
I
with these
don't
things.
disagree with
I'm
you
with
guys, but
you.
there is stuff that like affected me as a Star Wars fan that
Right.
I cannot deny. So
I'm with you that it's flawed. There's
it's
a couple
flawed.
of moments,
It's
like things
flawed.
that we saw in the trailer that when we watched in the movie, I was like, that didn't play well.
Right.
Like
Yeah.
just things that fell flat, or there's one running thing that I didn't necessarily feel like paid off with. I don't want to give any more details.
Yeah,
than
it's
that,
really
but
hard because
I was
there's-
like, that was an interesting choice. There were a couple things where I was like, I didn't prefer it, but it's still, I was glad that JJ was able to make the movie that he wanted to make.
Do you think that though? Because I feel like this movie,
Yes.
after I saw it, I felt like Lucasfilm hired JJ to be like, please help us try to fix fandom and make the safest movie possible, and JJ delivered. That's how I feel about it. I don't know if this is a movie he actually wanted to make, but it's definitely the movie he was hired to make.
I think it's
feel
definitely
like-
the
I think
movie
it's
he
the most
wanted to make.
J.J. Abrams movie
Yeah.
you've ever seen.
I think he set.
See, I feel like
he
J.J.
set this
Abrams-
movie up perfectly, and then he delivered. This
he
is his
did, and
movie.
it's on that. It is the most Star Wars movie I've ever seen.
It to me is
It was everything that I have grown up with. Now, there are people that Star Wars has changed so dramatically within the fandom. I don't think the movies have inherently changed. They've all had the central themes, and these are, people are going to kill me, but they are kids' movies. They are kids' movies. And
Well, I think
it
they're
was
for
something
kids.
that
Yeah,
and
but there's
adults.
good kids
unruly-
movies. Paddington 2 is a great kids movie.
Correct.
So is
Your Dragon.
But it's how you
Yeah.
interpret, how you feel. Star Wars has always been feelings
And
for
it
me.
made me feel nothing.
There.
Coit,
That
question for you.
I can't deny your feelings.
Right.
And that's where we are getting into now.
I can deny your feelings.
Yeah.
F your
Can I-
feelings.
But we are
Before-
getting
Just like
into
Jedi mind trick on my
this
feelings.
discourse that it's only going to get worse, guys.
Coit,
Before,
before yours.
before
Yeah,
your
go
question,
ahead.
JJ to me makes Mission Impossible 3 different than Mission Impossible 1 and 2. He makes Star Trek into a new thing. To me, this isn't JJ because to me this
I agree.
was. I also thought that this felt like the 2 movies JJ wanted to make, not 1. To me, like the first 30 minutes are like, we got to make 8, and then he made 9. So the whole time I was like, okay, that was his goal, and like I just felt like really like inundated with like I understand what the trilogy was for you, but what is happening?
That's
like,
interesting because I saw a lot of people tweet about the first 20 minutes, and so I went in thinking like, about the first 20 minutes, and then I saw them, I was like, these are awesome.
It had more jump cuts than Rocket Man.
and
Like
I don't know about that.
It
but
was just happening at
I
me.
was in it, and I was like, yeah, give it to me, fast.
But but do you mean just you had fun with the action sequences, basically?
I think it just set
supposed to.
itself.
God,
I think it
yes.
set the rest of the movie up well.
Man, because and
action was
by
the
the
best
way,
part.
by the way, because I don't want to just be negative. Like I did find it funny. I think there's a lot of really good moments, and there's a few moments that made me feel like the crew, like the main 3, like Poe, Rey, Finn. They all felt like my original, like Luke, Leia, Han. Like there was definitely moments there that was like, oh, there it is. There was like hinges. Like there was like what's the word? There's like a
Hints?
little hints of the original trilogy of what that was for me, but the rest of it was just forced, and it was pandering, and it was like they did some things in these movies without spoiling that I was like, wow, this is just like they literally went into Reddit and read the comments, and they're like, we need to add all of this stuff to the movie to please fans.
It also it's the first time I felt the Disney influence. I think there was a thing that happened to 2 of the characters that I felt was just like, oh, let's make it okay for people in states that don't believe in this sort of thing to feel okay about it. And like that definitely, it felt like they were undermining Force safety a lot. And I want to talk about that off camera because there were some choices where I was like,
people have been
I
tweeting
don't.
about that, and that was also something that they had
It was
announced.
insulting.
They had
I
announced
completely
prior to
agree.
the movie.
But the
I
main
didn't think
I
it
want to
was
say
insulting.
I
I
did.
thought it was
the thing
I was
I
so
enjoyed.
happy about it.
There
No,
were 2
I hate
characters
it.
in this that are amongst my favorite Star Wars characters.
Anything I say, you go no.
no,
I want to give credit. I want to give positivity. There's a character in this that is maybe my favorite new trilogy character.
Okay.
And he is like an amazing little drunk. I don't want to give anything away, but he's
Oh,
fantastic.
can I-
I don't
we
know
cannot
if we've
say the
talked
name?
about him.
I love him.
He's amazing.
He's the only thing I loved.
and
Babu Freak.
I love. There is a character.
Hi, Dorian.
Hi, Dorian. How's it going there?
And
There's my jacket.
yeah.
It's
and
not
th-
mine.
There's
I just
also one
liked
of my
it.
favorite female characters in all of Star Wars in this film.
Same, yeah.
She's
Your
she's
least favorite, you said?
a favorite.
Oh.
Like one of the characters in this film just shows up like a wrecking ball. She came in like a wrecking.
yeah.
Oh, I had an issue. I didn't love.
Oh, I loved her.
No, she was great.
Are we talking about the same person?
Yeah,
though?
that's
we
the
don't
question.
know. Spoilers.
I don't-
Spoilers.
Daft Punk.
The Daft Punk lady is what I was going to
Is
say.
that safe? I'm like, is that a non-spoiler
Yeah.
way to say she was amazing?
I liked her too.
I had an issue with. Well, that's a spoiler.
I'll come
too.
back
But I
for
was
spoiler
trying to
talk.
say positive things though, and that's one of them. Babu Freak is my favorite character in this movie. I want to see just those scenes with him because he's amazing. He is my favorite little drunk mini character in the mechanic in this movie. But
I have a question for you guys.
What?
If this was the original trilogy, if Star Wars started at Episode 7, and this was the 3rd Star Wars movie ever made, do you think you would have liked it more?
I don't think 7
No.
can exist because it's a remake.
I just mean like
Like
you,
if
you
this
felt
last
like
movie-
it had hit similar notes Do you think you would have preferred it if you had felt it was more, if this was the first time you were seeing some of those notes, or you just didn't like the story?
I just thought it was boring. That's my problem. Is like halfway through the movie, I'm like, there's nothing happening that's interesting to me except for these gorgeous lightsaber battle sequences. Those were so pretty that I was like, well, at least I can look at that. But story wise, I was just bored.
I think I'd like it more because I wouldn't be invested, and therefore all the things that I believe in Star Wars, I wouldn't mind them being as undermined because I wouldn't have 27 years of loving them. So
I know
think,
it's an impossible question to answer,
Right.
but I'm just
Yeah.
curious if it was the lack of originality that's really putting you guys over
I
the
think
edge.
it's my opinion on what the movies represent being undermined, so I wouldn't have had a strong conviction for it because I wouldn't have grown up in them.
Okay. This movie currently stands at a 56% on Rotten Tomatoes. And after feeling the room yesterday and feeling the room here, I'm not surprised by that. But how I feel about the movie is making me feel surprised by that.
Now, Roxy, did you end up compared to the rest of the new movies? Where does this rank for you right now?
So for me, Force Awakens is definitely my least favorite of
Okay.
7, 8, and 9. I don't know because I've seen Last Jedi so many times,
Right.
and I've seen this once, so I don't know which one is my favorite between the two of the new movies.
But you really like
Enough
them both.
to be
I
comparable.
love them both.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, I love them both, which is funny because I'm finding a lot of people similar to you, Coy,
Yeah.
are not love. If you love The Last Jedi, you're not loving this, and that part I kind of understand,
It's not hitting me like that.
but it's not hitting me like that.
But you guys
Yeah.
understand because it, like we mentioned earlier, it does kind of erase a lot of the stuff
I didn't
that
feel
happens.
that way
So you
at
didn't
all.
feel that?
I didn't
Okay.
feel that way at all.
I thought-
but that I do see how somebody could feel.
I very much look forward to spoiler version of this because there are
Yeah.
a lot of things
Yeah.
that are specific to that
Yes.
that I want to discuss. And I don't
It's
want to even, touch
impossible
on
to
it.
talk about right
Yes.
now. It's impossible without referencing the things in Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and then the spoilers that kind of, for me, kind of wrapped it up. Last Jedi, I love. It's my favorite of all of them. I don't know how I feel about where I would rank this right now because, as I mentioned yesterday, it's impossible for me to. There is a lot to unpack in this movie, and
Right.
it's going to be weeks, months before I know where it's going to land within this trilogy for me. I would say my gut, the way I feel right now, is that it's the third favorite for me. It might end up there, but I cannot wait to see it again because I think there are connections. A lot of people who do not like The Last Jedi, I feel will like this. A lot of people that love The Last Jedi, I still think will like this, but I understand some people saying, I was standing with somebody that said to Scott Wampler's review, it's very similar, and also to it undid things from The Last Jedi, which I don't necessarily agree with. In fact, I thought things were paid off, and there's certain things that I loved about the characters in Last Jedi that I got a yes with this movie.
I don't feel this way about you guys at all, so please don't take this as a shot. But I think a lot of people want to dislike this movie, and I think that the critic score is going to be pretty similar to the audience score
I think
because
so,
of that,
too.
because I think a lot of people have made up their mind about this
Yeah,
movie.
I agree with that.
The amount of people on the internet who said this movie sucks, and when I asked them if they've seen it, said no.
Thank you. I went down that rabbit hole.
Are you serious?
Is unbelievable.
It's unreal last night.
And you cannot say a movie sucks if you do not see it.
Of course not.
So
Yeah.
That's just like an actual fact. You
And-
cannot
but
say
look,
something sucks
but
when you
that's-
have not seen
But
it.
that's our current fandom. I feel like
Right.
with all of these big franchises, most people have already chosen a side.
Yes.
Like the marketing for this movie is choose a side.
I
right?
went
like,
down that
like
rabbit
most-
hole last
which
night.
is insane to me because that's not what it was.
Can we talk about the
the
marketing, right?
Yes.
So marketing safe, no spoilers. Choose a side completely negates what I believe Star Wars
Correct.
represents.
Yes.
To me, choose a side is literally draw a line. Choose a side implies you can be a Sith on purpose.
Exactly.
And to me, growing up, we knew the Siths were bad. They were modeled after Nazis. Just because we have Nazis in real life doesn't mean we should let that be acceptable.
Yep.
But that's why you need to choose a side.
But that allows the fandom to be like, I'm a Sith. Like that
Exactly.
allows for that. Like we
The
should
whole
all
point
wanna
is
be
that you
Jedi.
should never be on the dark
But
side.
guys, it's always going to be a choice in life. There's never going to not be a choice to be a Nazi.
Darth Vader was one of the most
I
popular
know, so
characters
but
with
people
kids.
are choosing
But
a
nobody
side
wanted to
because-
be
like
him.
exactly like
I
kids
don't
are
know.
choosing to be Darth
I
Vader
don't
just
know.
because they like the character, right? Which is fine. Like I grew up liking the Joker. Like that's not the conversation.
That's life.
We're more so
That's
talking about the
that's everything.
philosophical actual philosophical themes in the original Star Wars mythology. To me, it's not about choosing. That's
And
my
when
point.
I was young, like every kid
What?
wanted to
But
be the
that's-
bad guy.
That's
But then you
what
grow
this
out of that.
entire. That's what
theoretically.
the entire series is about.
Now it's become that, but it wasn't about that before.
I
me,
do feel like it was about that.
No,
You don't
not
think
when
it
I
was
was a
about
kid.
whether you were part of the which side you were on?
No,
you don't
it-
feel that way with
it
Vader
was about-
and,
it
and
was
Luke
about-
and Leia. You don't think it was about choosing a side and Vader ultimately choosing a side?
I don't
think it was
think
about
there is
choosing
a
goodness.
side. Exactly.
Choosing goodness, which is a side.
But choosing goodness is the answer. That's not a question. It's a period, not a
Exactly.
question.
That's
mark.
Han Solo's
it is a
inherent
question.
choice
It is
of
a
the
question.
New Hope.
Think about society. This movie, this trilogy changed with the times. This is the way it is now. We can only deal with what is. The truth of the matter is there is evil on this planet. There is. And you don't want to be a part of it.
But the
you want
problem
to
with
choose
that-
light, even when evil is taking over.
But we
you want
shouldn't
to choose
encourage
But
light.
the
the
problem with
option
that is
you choose,
that
though.
then
I don't
you're
think we're
simplifying
encouraging it.
things.
We're saying it's there.
But the problem is that you're simplifying things. And here's the thing. Yes, there is a very clear side when it comes to good versus evil. But the problem is that, especially in this political climate, you're having a bunch of there's gray to both sides, right? There isn't an evil and good side. Like, it's not like liberals versus conservatives. Does that make sense? It's not. It's
Yeah, but it's not choose a side and there is no middle ground. There is no gray. They're not saying choose a side and all good are great and all evil are horrible and there's nowhere in between. Choose a side.
I don't know. Do you see what I'm saying?
I hear you.
I
Yeah,
see
but-
all perspectives
right.
here. Without giving away spoilers,
Exactly.
I have a
That's
hard
what's
time,
hard to
like,
talk
landing
about
on
it.
this.
Yeah.
That said,
We'll have to do a spoiler
C
review.
plus. It was my fine. Like, I felt like it was above average, but it wasn't what I needed it to be.
I'm
so
shocked you
therefore-
think it's that high.
Yeah, I mean, like,
Based on
Well,
your
the plus
review.
is for
But-
Yeah,
Babu
that
Freak.
is high for me.
The
yeah.
problem is, like, I am inherently a positive person, and I feel like this is the first time I need to speak out about negative, because I feel like me only being positive is how we got here. Like,
Yes.
I think me being someone that's like, yes, this is good, is how we ended up with a very, very mediocre, tastes like ice cream, but I wanted like a real sustenance.
I don't think so because it wasn't the people who thought Ryan Johnson's movie was good how we got here. It's the people who thought Ryan Johnson's
But
movie
they
was
were
bad
louder.
how they
The,
got here.
the people that wanted it to be easy and be simple were louder than the people that like to be
Yes.
challenged.
Right.
I will now be louder about liking to be challenged.
But if you had been louder about it being good, I don't think that what you think happened.
But we also, here's the thing too, to add to this is that we've also seen, and we've talked about it on the show, just talking about film criticism in general. Like, I try to be positive and I try not to, like, actually, crap on stuff just for the sake of crapping, but I do think it's important to have some sort of, like, okay, it's okay to say I dislike this for these reasons. And I think that for me and possibly you, Coy, we're just worried about art becoming non-challenging, right? Because we want our art to the art that we love to challenge us. That's how we deal with all our problems. It's like
I wouldn't
the
be
human
too
condition.
worried because I think 2019, and you've agreed with this, Dream. I don't know how you feel, Coy, but was one of the best years for
oh,
movies
this year was
yet.
incredible.
But people aren't watching those, right? People are watching Star Wars
Ford
and
Ferrari did
superhero
well,
I
movies.
think
and
a
like
lot
I
of
think
people
are
yeah.
there's so many
Peanut Butter Falcon
conversations
got
on this to
expanded.
have.
Honey Boy got expanded.
Yeah,
Like,
okay,
I
good.
think
People
I
are
think-
watching them.
I think the perception is they're not watching them. I think the
Right.
perception is mid-range film is dead. But if you actually look at what's in
Joker-
theaters, you're like,
Joker
oh wait,
broke $1
mid-range
billion.
film's alive and well.
But some people hated it.
I'm
But-
not,
but it did
of
well.
course,
But
of
yeah.
course, but that's not
I
the
think
point. People
more
are
of
seeing
them,
it. Was your-
Annapurna and A20, like, more movies are getting made than people aren't considering. And then when you actually look at the theater, it's not just blockbusters. If you
Okay,
actually
good.
look, and I think the conversation is just on the bigger things. So I'm trying to bring awareness to critique, like you're saying. I still want people to see this. It's just my feeling. Like, these are the things I disliked. Go see the movie, form your
Yeah,
own
of
opinion.
course.
Cody, I
and
think
that's
I-
always the case. You should always go see a movie and have an opinion after you see the movie.
Cody, I think I know the answer to this, but any final thoughts?
Well, I found a tweet that pretty much sums it up. This is from Emma Stefanski. Says, watching The Rise of Skywalker is like telling an acquaintance you ate potato salad once and enjoyed it, and then having that acquaintance break into your home in the middle of the night, tie you to a chair, and mash potato salad into your face and eyes for 2+ hours.
Yeah.
That's what it felt like.
Wow.
I favorited that tweet because I agree. Yes.
Yikes.
That's
That's exactly how I
Wow.
felt.
It's like taking things that you enjoy, just keep.
I'm so
Just keep shoving
I'm
it
really-
in until you fucking like it and cry.
I'm really bummed for this fandom and for this movie and for the actors and the artists that worked on it because I think it's going to be a long road ahead now.
It is.
Which is not anybody's fault.
No.
It sucks. It sucks for
We're
them.
at a place. There is so much to. This is going to be a movie we study in film school, and I believe not for the merits of the filmmaking and craft, but I'm saying study the development process, the fandom, how studio movies are made now,
Its effect on society.
the effect on society. I see it, and it bums me out because I just am walking out of that with the feeling in place. And I can critique it, and I will, and I will get there. But right now, it's a shining example of fandom right now. I think at its worst.
Yeah.
Because of how
how people are talking about
Well,
it.
not
people are
just
saying.
that.
Last night, I went down like you, Roxy. People have not seen this movie. They decided to actually find the leaks, find the spoilers, put them on their Twitter feeds, critique, review, say, I told you. This is why this is why Lucasfilm sucks. This is why Kathleen Kennedy sucks. They are not seeing this movie. They are instead ripping this movie to shreds without seeing it, and I find that ridiculous.
I think we do need to move on because we want to talk Mandalorian.
I do have a final question, though.
Okay.
Because so I am not a fan of the prequels, as you guys know, but I feel like the prequels had a plan from beginning to end, and I don't feel like this trilogy did that. I don't know if they had a plan and they scratched it because of the response to Last Jedi, but
I think we do know that. We do know that.
But do you guys feel like that's the case, and that's why fandom is affecting movies in a negative way?
No, I think not all of life has a plan, dude. Like, I think that they had a plan. That plan changed. They got new creators in there. Then they didn't necessarily like that direction. They went in a different direction. I'm sure that a lot of people are going to say that this trilogy suffered because of that. For me, we had different artists have a touch on it, and I don't think that's why the fandom's been crazy.
They had a plan in this. They had a plan of hiring voices in your J.J. Abrams, Rian Johnson, and Colin Trevorrow. And that was set. And they were going to bring us a new trilogy. And halfway through that, they changed course because they got rid of Colin Trevorrow for creative differences and whatnot. But this was all coming on the heels of a Last Jedi that polarized that audience and actually did something different in the genre. People were saying, oh, this is just a remake in Force Awakens, and we literally get something completely different in our Star Wars with The Last Jedi, and then it changed. And there was so much that changed. There was so much upheaval. During all of that, Lord Miller was fired, Colin Trevorrow was fired, J.J. Abrams was brought back. I've heard so many different rumors about it. I know I'll get into it more in detail with Mark Fernandez. This is what we do on Rule of Two. And I think they made the best of it. And the results may vary with you, and you see two people right here that I know is going to be a very similar reaction out there, but I know we are representing a feeling of Star Wars that we appreciated.
And I enjoyed the feeling. Like, that's what I want to get across.
I get it.
I think we're two sides of the same coin. We both, at our center, I'm really glad I was there. I had a lot of fun during it.
It is gray, to your point, Dorina. I don't think there is a black and white conversation to be made with this movie. I think it is gray. I think some people are going to love it, some people are not. Some people are going to come on the outside, like maybe me, sometimes, oh, I see what you're going and what you mean. But it is a gray conversation to have within the Star Wars universe. It's fascinating to me, though.
I know. Mine is not about a feeling. I think it's a good movie.
Okay.
So I also had the feeling, but that's not. I think it's a good movie.
And that's what I think the difference in yours and my perspective is you are able to remove your feeling and say good. I'm able to remove my feeling and say experience good, movie bad. So that's why it's
interesting
like a C+
thing
for me.
I'm feeling
It's like, I
love
had fun
it.
during a movie that I wish it was way better.
Right, and that's what's hard is expectations, and that's what's hard about a ninth film in a series. Well, to answer your question,
But I had low expectations. That's why I'm shocked.
You went in and you said before we walked in that you really didn't think you were going to like the movie.
I didn't say that. I said that I usually go into these movies with low expectations because I know I'm not going to like them as much as the original trilogy. And so I'm okay with that. I just want to enjoy it. Just like I did enjoy a lot of parts of The Last Jedi, and I didn't enjoy a lot of parts of The Last Jedi.
To your question about reshaping a universe, the two things I'd bring up are, one, they got Spider-Man at the last minute in Civil War, and that completely changed it, and they were able to land that and change the entire Phase 3. Right. And the other is DC is able to, they were building this thing, and then they decided to not build it the way they were going, and then Shazam was brilliant, Joker made $1 billion and was brilliant. So I think there is time where, like, you don't
change all the time.
Yeah, you don't have an arc. And so I don't think that was the problem with this. I think it was the polarizing nature of the middle of that sandwich. Like, the bread stayed the same, but the middle was such a different meat that you're like, what am I eating?
Right.
A lot of food metaphors today. I'm very hungry.
Me too.
I'm hungry
Denny's
too.
delivery.